I've sold on Amazon full time and pretty seriously for the past 5 or 6 years or so, right? So I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've seen all the potential softwares that you can use. I've seen all the companies that come along launching new products within the space. I've done online arbitrage. I've done private label. I've done wholesale FBA. I've done drop shipping. I've literally done it all, right? So I've seen a bunch. I've been around the block, and for the longest time, especially when you're getting into it, I would tell people avoid lead lists, right? Avoid websites that are going to spoon feed you the actual online arbitrage potential deals. It sounds great in theory, although you never know how many people are actually also getting that list. What if that one person or that one company is selling those same specific leads to 100 or 1,000 people, and you're just one of those 1,000, right? Now, that could potentially be an issue if it's that many people, obviously, because A, it's going to look very, very different the day that you're sourcing it than it might a week or 2 weeks from now if a bunch of people are actually going in and buying those products, right? Because the sales velocity might skyrocket up, the price might tank down, it might get more competitive, right? And so these are all factors that I used to warn people to stay away from lead lists with. However, I decided to try OA Beans, which is a lead list software. I'm always doing research and kind of counteracting different points to make sure that I'm right? First and foremost, because I want to use these things to make money if it works, right? But also because I'm constantly making videos and telling you guys what I recommend and what I think about these types of things. So I want to test, I want to be certain if I'm going to go as far as to say avoid them, okay? Now, what makes OA Beans different is, as you can see here, it's got a bunch of frequently asked questions. If you're on the website, you can just kind of look through. So you can see, okay, well, how many people are actually getting these lead lists, right? And so it's only a specific amount of people that are subscribing to their plan that are getting it, right? So let's say hypothetically that 10 people are subscribing to their plan. Well, the main list only goes out to 10 different people, so it's only you competing against 9 other sellers if you're one of those people getting that list, right? If they have 100 people, then they're sending out 10 different lists to 10 different pools of people, and so you're not competing with that many people. They are controlling the list, which I like, okay? And then obviously as you go plan to plan, it can get potentially more people, but typically speaking, those products have a more opportunistic listing where you can sell a bunch of them. A bunch more people can share that specific listing because the sales velocity can account for that. But these are all things that you should factor in when you're actually testing it out, right? So today, I have not prepared this. I have subscribed to OA Beans. I'm going to test it out as a sourcing challenge for online arbitrage here and see if their lead list can give me some good products that I can actually go ahead and buy. But essentially how it works is once you sign up for one of the packages, they're going to then send you daily the lead lists, right? And if for whatever reason you miss it, it's not a big deal because you can always come to your panel here and just access your leads, scroll down and see all the specific leads that they've given for the past specific days that you've been utilizing, right? Obviously, this is the most frequent as of yesterday. Today's hasn't come out because today's a Saturday. They only come out Monday through Friday, and then the weekends that you don't get any leads. So it's Monday through Friday, you get leads, and you can always go back and check the lists here. And of course, there's different pricing plans as well. So if you want access to certain lists that, might have less competition or higher margins or whatever, all of that's listed here in the pricing plans that you can obviously check out, right? So let's go through yesterday's really quickly. Again, I have not tested this out. I have no idea what we're going to find. We're going to view the list, and now we're going to get sourcing, right? And so one of the benefits of something like this, if it does work, we're going to find out together here. Yes, you might be thinking when we go back and we look at the pricing plan, like, all right, $118 a month, that could be pretty expensive. Although when you think about it, if you're using a software to find these leads for you already and then doing it manually, for example, I recommend Source Mogul all the time. Seller Sprite's another good one. Reprice Hub, there's a bunch of good ones out there that will spoon feed you profitable products and compare, products on other retail websites and just websites in general a lot of times to the Amazon product catalog and then find profitable products, whereas they're selling for a lower price on one website, a higher price on Amazon, and they will show you that in real time, and then you can go through and verify and obviously check them and buy them yourself, right? Those softwares are great, although you're probably realistically paying anywhere from like $30 to $100 for one of those softwares, depending on the package that you're buying. And 30 is really on the low end, so you're probably looking at like 50 to 100 realistically. So you're already spending pretty close to that, not to mention the time that it takes you to actually go through those. Those types of softwares are great because they can drastically cut your time. Instead of going out to all the websites and manually sourcing them yourself, now you're getting the comparisons in real time. You can use the filters to find find the profitable products a lot easier, and then it takes your time to actually go through and verify, right? But that takes a lot of time to actually do it, even when using one of those softwares. And so this cuts all that time out, literally just gives you the two comparisons that you can then go through. They've already looked at a vast majority of these to make sure that on that day, they're profitable, they're promising, and so it's a lot easier, a lot less time spent, right? So you need to factor in the time that you would take to actually go through those lists yourself, which can end up being a lot of time very quickly, okay? So factor in the time. On top of that, if you're somebody like me who uses a virtual assistant to do it for you, then you're paying that VA to do it for you anyway, which accounts for more money on top of that fact. And realistically, I would say that while a software monthly might be cheaper, if you're utilizing your time and you're earning anywhere over like 25 cents an hour, or if you're paying a VA to do it for you, you are spending a lot more per month than any one of these specific plans, right? So believe it or not, these are actually cheaper, assuming the leads are good, but let's find out if the leads are good, right? So here's the first example of the list that they sent out yesterday. We're just gonna run through a lot of these ASINs really quickly and see if we can actually sell them via the Amazon catalog. That's the first step always. Now we're gonna paste the first ASIN into Seller Central, and right off the bat, you can see that we need to apply to sell it. Tory Burch is a pretty prominent brand. And I always like to request approval just to see if I'm auto-ungated, since I've sold a lot on Amazon in the past. Typically speaking, I can get auto-ungated for a decent amount of product categories and a decent amount of product brands. This one is not one of those cases. And so if I wanted to get ungated for any one of these specific brands and products on the lead list, there are many ways I can go about it. I could obviously find a wholesale supplier, source 10 plus of that specific quantity. Also, there are some workarounds with some retail suppliers online, so it depends brand to brand and what Amazon will accept. But also, if you go back to OA Leads' website and you scroll down, they also offer a fully ungating service to ungate you for any one of these products. So that works very well as well if you run into that issue and for whatever reason you don't want to buy 10 plus quantity from a supplier and utilize that invoice showing that, they can do it for you, okay? It also comes with an FBA calculator if you want to use that, although I'm going to use the one in Seller Central right here just to keep it simple. So the first one we're gated for, the second one probably gated because it's a video game and I've never ungated this category. There we go. Next one's sporting goods. See how much faster it is to just check these in the first place? That one's gated as well. Tools and home improvement. This one might be promising. I'm usually ungated for a lot of these. Nope. Not for Arlington Industries. Maybe we will. Nope. All right, so we're approved for the Transformers toys when we request approval here. So let's check into this one. So now we're going to come back to the lead list. We're going to see where to source it from. We source it from Walmart here. A lot of times it won't be Walmart. I've seen a ton of random suppliers that I didn't even know existed half the time, which is good because that means a lot of other people won't as well. So this currently is selling for $5.99 on Walmart. Currently, it's selling for $16 on Amazon. So there is a price difference there. Now, the first thing that we want to make sure is what's the profit range here. So if we take that ASIN and we go back into the revenue calculator, paste it in there, it's going to tell us right off the bat that it's selling for $17.24, although currently the buy box price I think is $15.99. Depending on how seasoned your account is and how accurate and aggressive your repricer is, you could potentially sell it for more, although I don't like to assume that. I typically like to assume that I'm going to sell it at buy box price, especially when it's sourced. That gives you a little bit of wiggle room and make sure that you still have built-in margin anyway, okay? So the next thing we want to take is the actual sale here. So it's $6 on Amazon right here after the sale. Take that back in, scroll all the way down. We're going to say $6 is the cost of goods. Shipping into Amazon is going to be $1 here, and that leaves us with a $1.35 profit. So even if it was 50 cents into Amazon, if we bought a few, you'd still be making $2 here. So that is still a profitable product. So first list done, not the best here, $2 profit margin. But again, that's just the base list there of 10. You could always upgrade in the future if you want to. Just 10 leads comes in that basic list. Let's go back one more day here. We'll check this one. So we're going to start running 3 ASINs through. Maybe there'll be a great one here. So here's another one that I found that I'm able to sell really fast without the ungating service or without buying a 10 plus quantity. So let's check it. This one is also Walmart as well. So $35 on Walmart currently. It is selling for $63 on Amazon. So a lot of margin with this one. First thing we want to do, obviously, is check the profit margin on that, although there's plenty of wiggle room there. So pretty sure that it's going to be there. It's selling 48 daily units, so it's selling plenty. Next thing, obviously, we want to make sure is the competition on the listing here. I use a plugin called Online Seller Add-on for that. So as you can see, there's not that many sellers. It looks like 8 offers currently. A lot of them only have one, with World Distribution having 1,000 and M&L, Logo Stores, and Traveler having a few. So not that competitive here. These people up here, the top 3, are only selling this in collectible condition. So realistically, the only people that you're competing against are these 5 sellers here. So you're really only sharing the buy box with 5 other sellers in this instance. So now let's check if it's a profitable product. So we'll paste the ASIN in here, which the buy box price currently is $63.64. So we're going to switch that. $63.64. We're going to scroll down and then input the cost of goods to us. So it's $35 on Amazon. We're going to estimate that it's going to cost us $1 to ship it into FBA if we ship a bunch in at once. So the net margin here, this is a profitable product at $9.13 with an average margin of a little bit over 14%. So this is a pretty good product that it just spoon fed us. Again, $35 here. I X'd out of it for some reason on Amazon. $63.64. Again, it's selling, I think it was 40 units a day or something like that. So we'll use Jungle Scout really quickly. But if you don't want to use the extension, you could always just Google the free one. It is a free estimator. It will take you more time to paste in every time and check it because you have to input the category and scroll down on the Amazon listing and find that category. But it is a free alternative if you don't want to pay for the Jungle Scout extension. Now, this is selling roughly 50 units a day, so that's pretty solid. And you're only competing with 5 other sellers. So not that many people to share the buy box with, selling well, and it's profitable at $9 every single time you sell this. I would say that this is probably a good product. I'd give this one an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Pretty good. Let's check the last 2 on this list. And it looks like we can sell this one right here. So we'll check this one out. Pull up both of the links here. This one's sold by Midway USA, another supplier I've never heard of. $15 there. It's selling for $29 on Amazon here. It is the same thing, 200 pieces. Predator Polymag. So now we want to check the Amazon listing, obviously. We know that there's a price difference there. We'll see how profitable it is in a second, but let's check the actual sales to make sure it's selling, right? Because if it's profitable, but it's never selling, then it's not something that we want to buy. So this isn't selling as much as the other one, obviously, only 45 monthly units and 1 a day. But what's the competition on the listing look like? Maybe there's only a few sellers. So currently, there are only 3 sellers on this, and they're all FBM, which is a good sign for us because while one of them has 437 of these units, all of these people are selling this FBM, and there's no other competing FBA seller on this. So that means that if we ship this product into FBA, not only would we probably get a majority of those sales, but we could also list it higher than everybody else and still steal the buy box for a majority of the time. So that's pretty promising right there. It's selling $29 on Amazon currently. So let's take this into the revenue calculator. It's got it at the right price. So we'll scroll down. We'll input our cost of goods, which is $14.99. We'll round that up to 15. We'll assume that it will cost us $1 to ship it in. Again, if we ship everything in at once, it doesn't cost that much. And so this is a profit of $4.17 each time if we sell it at the buy box price there. The margin, again, is over 14%. So another pretty solid buy. Not as much profit here, but same profit margin. Another pretty solid product. I give this one like a 6 or a 7. But between these two, you could buy a bunch of these and make $100, $200, maybe $300 very easily, especially if you just sell a dozen of this one. So let's go one more day back here and we'll check this list. Going to run through some of these ASINs. All right, so we can sell this one, the 5 pounds of crab seasoning here. So this one also looks like it's a pretty solid margin here at $10 profit. This one's sold on Webstaurant, it looks like, at $18. This one sells on Amazon for $43. So again, plenty of margin there. We're going to check that specifically here in a second, but let's see the actual sales on the listing. So 5 daily units, 200 monthly units, but what's the competition? How many sellers are on this listing? So there's 4 people on the listing with not that many in inventory. 2 of them are FBM sellers and 2 of them are FBA sellers, right? So realistically, if we ship this into FBA, we are sharing the buy box with everybody, but realistically, we'll share the buy box more with the 2 FBA sellers, right? So this isn't necessarily a bad product here. We want to check it a little bit further. So knowing that it's $18 here on Webstaurant, and it's $14 here, and it's $43 on Amazon, we're going to take that into the revenue calculator. It's 14 and 43, 18 and 43. So $18 cost of goods. This one looks a little bit heavier because it's 5 pounds, so we're going to round up to $2.50 here. Well, it's probably, if we buy a bunch, it'll only be 2. But if we don't buy a lot, it'll be $2.50. So if it's $2, then our margin here is 16%, with an average profit of $7.06 for every unit sold. So not bad. If it costs us $250 to ship them in, well, then we're still making $650 and the margin goes down to 15%. So this is another good product here where you can make a decent amount of money. If you sold even 10 of these, that's like 60, 70 bucks, which realistically wouldn't be out of the equation. And you could do that very quickly because there's only 4 other sellers on this listing. Only 2 of them are FBA. It's already selling 5 a day. So that means that realistically, once you get in there and you get ranked with the other sellers and you start sharing the buy box, you would at least sell 1 of these a day, at least, right? So then if you buy 10 of them, 10 days later, which is like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks max, you've cleared out your inventory. You've made that 60, 70 bucks. This is a pretty solid one. I'm going to give this one a 7, right? And so you guys get the picture. I'm not going to waste your time, continue sourcing through these lead lists, but I would give OA Beans actually a pretty solid grade here. I'm very impressed. And I've told everybody for the longest time not to use these lead lists because you never know how many people are actually getting them. But OA Beans only gives them out to a certain amount of people for each specific list. So you know that you're not competing with everybody else and their sister and their brother and their mother, right?